Today we had a great opportunity to share with a bunch of people at the BuildingSMART Summit in Marrakesh the explanation of what IDS is, and we talked about how to create one, how to use it for checking. The concept is to create both a human-readable and also a machine-readable export. So this is the human-readable, we can understand this. The IDS side of things is exporting it in an XML file. Machines can communicate and understand it. So this concept is good because it means that everyone talks the same language, and it means that we can automatically check the models as well. So here we can see that the ceilings, there are 4 pieces that do not have exactly what we've asked for. They're incomplete, but whereas the other 25 have got everything that we need, and you can go through all of the different pieces of geometry and so on and find out exactly whether the model meets the requirements. So what we did was we had a bit of an introduction into what IDS is. First of all, we sort of see there's a mess of lots of different ways of creating information requirements. And if there are so many different ways to understand how to create them, and Excel is a wonderful tool, but it's extremely flexible, and it means that we create things in many different ways. And when we share that, there's a lot of misinterpretation that happens, misunderstandings that cause waste, cause rework, cause a lot of broken communication. So what we have is this wonderful world of buildingSMART and the service of BSDD, the data dictionary repository that allows you to connect to talk the same language and creating an IDS, an information delivery specification, in a format that everyone can understand. You can use it to create the information and you can use it to check the information. And this is a proactive loop that enables us to remove a lot of the waste in defining requirements, creating requirements, and checking requirements. There are also reactive steps in that workflow. So if there are exceptions, they can be reported out. We like to be proactive and make sure that it's all fixed before it's submitted. But if we're talking about coordination, the clashing and finding models that don't necessarily meet requirements outside of the IDS workflow, we would report issues, report topics in a BCF and go through the fixing workflow. So let's talk about that proactive workflow in defining requirements. We do have a free plan inside of Planoly, so if you want to follow along, you can jump into planoly.com, and if you click on the Join Free button in the top corner, you can create your own account. You can use a number of different profiles that you already have, so you don't have to create another profile, and just simply by clicking to log in with your Google profile, you can get started. If you have an account already, click on the login button, and when you log in, you'll be presented with the option to create a new project. Everything we show you is going to be in the free account, so you can do this without paying anything. You can get a whole experience of the whole workflow and understand how to create the IDS. The first thing when you are presented in a project, you will see the docs module. Oh, and this is a bonus part. So the bonus part is inside of the docs module, you have access to all of the templates, and they might be the exchange information requirements, a BIM execution plan, a whole bunch of different templates that you might need to fulfill the resources that are required to describe how you want to go about executing your project. These are all automated. So we have database-driven fields, and instead of them being Word documents that are really difficult to assign accountability, we're able to assign accountability at a section level, so each piece of this. We also have lots of AI tools to make it easy, and we have that ability to go through sharing and publishing and making sure that only the certain parts of the information are shared and published with the right people. When we move to the scoping side of things, so this is where we start to get into the IDS piece, we have a library of those requirements that we'll come back to. But to start with, let's look at how we might create those from scratch. We can create a whole different set of requirements in lots of different ways, but we're going to create one row in the database, and it's going to be the definition of an element. Maybe it's a wall. And as we type, if we type wall, it will be maybe capitalized, maybe there'll be a space, maybe there won't be, maybe it will be in one language versus another. It's not very easy to make sure that we're all calling walls the same. So what we will do is go to our project dashboard, go to the settings, and in the settings, we are able to choose which dictionaries, which buildingSMART data dictionaries we can connect to. This time, we see a long list of all of the different data dictionaries that we can connect to. In this example, we're going to choose Uniclass, and by choosing Uniclass as our data dictionary, This means that when we are in that workflow and we're going to find these elements, we're able then to make sure that we're all talking the same language, we're all using the same dictionary, the same communication of those elements. So now when we go back to the scope, we'll be able to click on this wall and it will search the buildingSMART data dictionary that we're connected to, and it will bring up anything that is associated with walls. So we see crib walls and copper walls and curtain wall systems. We can scroll through this, be more specific in our search. Internal wall tiling. Is it a metal wall, a media wall, a masonry wall? So here we're going to pick masonry wall system, and we can see that that is specifically named and also coded based on this classification system. We can also see the icon that appears that shows that this is actually coming from the buildingSMART data dictionary, and we can see the classification code that is from unit class. So everything is built through this connection. It means that we're all speaking exactly the same language, we're defining things in the same way, and everything is driven in a way that we can understand and others can understand the same thing. Once we've defined this row, we can start to add requirements, and we can define exactly what milestones, what stages in the project that these are required. As we click in the milestone, we're defining a task. That task has potentially a certain geometry, and also, much more importantly, in the information delivery specification, some information requirements. The information requirements might come from our project library, so we might already have certain requirements that we're using in the project, or it could be pulled from the buildingSMART data dictionary. In this example, there are 17 materials, and we're picking simply the cover material. This is, again, a property. It would be potentially in a property group, in a property set, and defined and then linked directly to the buildingSMART data dictionary. So we're clearly and quickly defining this in a human-readable way, but maybe we want to export this in a machine-readable way. So here we can pick on the export menu and say IDS specification, choose different filters and different options. Here we've got a very simple specification. So if we hit create, it will create us a file. This is an XML file, which is an information delivery specification. And clicking it will open that file, and we can see the XML structure. This is the machine-readable part. So we've created an export that is now available to be downloaded, sent to somebody else really, really quickly. If we've done this before, then we will have templates for all of these requirements. And in our scope template library, we have access to a bunch of templates. This one here, we are going to pick some milestones. In the example, we're just going to say, let's deselect the coordination milestone and have the estimate and the asset information model as two milestones, so that when we import this architectural folder of requirements, it's going to create us those two milestones in our project. Just by simply clicking the add button, or we can be selective and drag and drop certain parts of that. Inside of our project, we now have that folder called architectural, and then we're going to open this up and find all of the elements inside of it. So we've got the interior walls, the doors, the tiling, the specialty flooring, carpets, etc., and all of the properties, all of the information requirements, and the rules for all of these specifically for each milestone. Maybe we need less information for the cost estimate, more information for the asset information model, for the handover. These information requirements are defined really clearly in a human-readable and also in a machine-readable way. Once we've created this, we can then export it in the same way, creating an information delivery specification simply by hitting on the export and then also filtering this. So this is another opportunity to say, maybe we want to export it in complete form, or maybe we want to export the cost estimate only. Maybe we want to filter it for a specific team member and maybe a folder or a team. Maybe we would say just the architectural scope or the structural scope, for example. Once we create it, it automatically versions this. And now we've got a complete IDS export with all of those requirements in a very, very structured way that we can share with others and use in a way to create our deliverables and to check them. We also have the ability inside of Plannerly in the third module, the verify module, to say, how are we going about doing this? Can we status these tasks and move them across? This is a Kanban board that we could just drag and drop some of these cards or just select the status and see them moving. So now we're saying we've done some of these. So for example, the flooring, we are saying what status we are. And as we're going through this, we can start to say that's what we have completed. Now we're filtering to say these parts of the model should be complete: the ceilings, the elevator doors, and the interior walls. And now when we move into the checking phase, we can choose to upload a model to connect to Autodesk Construction Cloud, or grab a model from the file manager that you've uploaded into Planoly. All of the auto versioning will automatically show and update that latest version. It will automatically connect to those requirements, and we can start to see, we're 86% complete on the ceilings information requirements, 75% complete on the elevator doors, and only 65% complete on the interior walls. So we really need to up our game and complete this before we are submitting the model. And the beauty of this is the team submitting the model is able to deliver the model, see whether they're meeting the requirements, and then only when they are meeting the requirements will they then change the model status from in progress and then sharing it. So here we can see there are 4 elements in the ceilings that do not meet. It says that they have incomplete or erroneous data. The material property is there, but it doesn't meet one of those tasks. We could then status that task and say, unfortunately, it's not ready, or they can fix it before they submit the model. All of this workflow, we're going to get away from all of the rework and wasteful identification of problems. This is before the model is submitted. All of that is inside of Planoly. We would love to share more. Ask us about anything of that workflow. If you have ideas to improve it, we would love to hear from you. And if you want to find out more, planoly.com, or connect with one of the team, we would love to share more. Take care and have a good rest of your summit.